Have you ever been so afraid of falling at something that you decided? Okay, so in this lesson today, we will examine fear of failure, what it means and what causes it, and how to overcome it to enjoy true success in work and in life. So, hello students, good morning, all of you. Have a nice day. Today, we will discuss the chapter Two Stories About Flying. The first part, his first flight, from the book First Flight, class 10th. Okay, so let's begin the lecture with a very beautiful thought. Happiness lies in the joy of achievement. It's true. If we win something, if we gain victory over something, we are very happy. So, happiness lies in the joy of achievement. Got it? Now, let's move toward the chapter. Before that, first let's see some interesting fact about the author. Who is the author of this story? Let's see. Leo Flaherty was an Irish novelist and short story writer who worked on poetry and with respect for courage also. He was keen observer and interested in sea life. He spent much of his time on seashore and studied the life of seagulls. Now, what is seagulls? Seagulls are seabirds. Okay, and we are going to learn today's story based on seagull only. One of a young seagull. That story we are going to learn today in our lecture. Okay, and through this story, the writer conveys the model of having self-confidence and self-reliance. The parents can support us towards a certain extent. We know parents can guide us, they can give us moral support, but towards a certain limit, but not forever. So we all should try to become independent in our own way. Okay, so this is what the writer wants to tell, depict in this short story. Now, based on this lesson, based on this story, here's a small activity for you children. What you have to do? You have to just write few lines on your first attempt at learning to ride a bicycle, or how you attempt to swim for the first time. Okay, or even you can give your experience of cooking your favorite dish in the kitchen. Okay, so it is a very interesting activity. You do just write few lines on that, or you can share your ideas with your friends. Got it? So this is a small activity you have to perform. In the first paragraph, we can see once a seagull was there who is at the stage of life where he has to learn to fly. But he is very afraid of flying. So the seagull was standing all alone on the rock over the sea. His parents started teaching his sisters and two brothers, along with the young seagull, how to fly and dive for the fish. Now, initially, the brothers and sisters too were very afraid of flying, but later on, they tried to fly for the first time near the ledge of the sea. In spite, their wings were shorter than the young seagull. All the brothers and sisters, all of them succeed except the young seagull. Why? Because he could not trust on his wings, on his own wings. He was little terrified. He was little scared of flying. Why? Because he saw the huge and vast sea and thought that he could never fly. Now, as a result, he was ashamed and disheartened. And thus, he slowly went inside the ledge where he usually slept. And he was unable to fly. Okay? His parents supported him, even his brothers and sisters supported him, but then also he could not gather courage to fly, nor even for he attempt any courage to try at least once. Now the parents scolded. He got a nice scolding from his parents for not trying how to fly even for a single time. So he was all alone now for a day. Okay, after he tried a bit, but again he failed as before, and his parents then they got busy focusing on his siblings. The parents they were busy training the other children. They helped his siblings. Okay, now to master art of flying and diving her food. Now his older siblings even caught their first fish while his parents celebrated the victory of their children. But this young seagull, he was very afraid. He was left behind. He was unable to fly. That morning, his parents taunted him. gave a nice scolding to him all the way for being a coward, not to gather courage, not to be bold and attempt the flying. So he was left all alone. Slowly the sun has risen, and the young seagull was feeling more heat than before. Why? Because he is empty stomach. Since last night he has not taken any food. Okay, so that's why he was feeling more heated. He steps out slowly of the edge and pretends to sleep on one leg and hides the other one to gain the attention of his family. But no one notices him. Okay, his siblings, his brothers and sisters are sleeping. His father, he was cleaning his feathers with his beak, and his mother, she was standing on another plateau eating fish. Mother notices him. Mother is looking at the young seagull, and the little seagull becomes mad at the sight of the food because he is very hungry. He saw mother is eating the fish, so he also wanted that food. And moreover, he loves to tear away the fish and scrape it with its beak. Now he is crying in hunger. He shouts at his mother, but his mother screams back at him angrily. But then also the young seagull, he's crying again and again that I want food. Please, Mama, pass the food. But mother is not giving food to the seagull. But little while, she flew away with the fish towards him. Okay, just listen here. The mother is flying towards the seagull with a piece of fish. Now, the young seagull, seeing this sight, he was very excited for the food and thought that mother will give that piece of fish to him. But as soon as his mother comes near him, suddenly she stops, not too far from him, but a little ahead. Out of excitement of hunger, the young seagull dives at the fish without realizing for a moment that he was afraid to fly. He closes his eyes and starts flapping his wings with fear, and as he opens his eyes, he finds himself flying in the sky. Now he is floating in the sky and his family is cheering him. He has finally defeated his fear for a moment. He was in a shock to see himself flying. He can't believe on him. He could feel the wind against his feathers, against his stomach, blowing. He could feel himself cutting through the air. Now he was not afraid. He was not scared anymore. He was just a bit little nervous, but when his mother accompanied him, he became bold. He gathered courage and started to fly. The whole family screamed out in excitement, thus celebrating his victory over fear. Once he overcomes his fear, he forgets that he was afraid of flying. Okay, so he did not at that time did. First he was very afraid of flying, but now he started flying straight over the sea and could see the greenery, the mountains beneath him. He screams out with joy as he enjoys the victory. Now, when he lands, his family too lands along with him. They are very proud. They are screaming and shouting in excitement in their high pitched voices. He then go into the sea. At first, he was very scared and afraid and panic, and he used to try to escape from the sea. But now he is going towards the sea. Now, when he comes down, he starts floating in the sea. He is once afraid of it before. His family is celebrating in excitement and offers him food and praise. Finally, he has overcome his fear and has made his first flight. So, students, in this story, the first flight highlights the importance of independence, self respect, and confidence, and the need for motivation to achieve the goal. Necessity is always a mother of invention, but it sometimes it needs an initial spark from inside. We have to give that spark out from our side. So in this situation, one proverb is there: give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So instead of giving ready-made food, spoon feeding, we should help him to motivate how to learn. That is the correct way. Okay, and it will be for lifetime. Let's have the summary. In this story, the young seagull persists to be a coward. He is not bold, he is afraid of flying. His other three elder brothers and sisters had already flown. The entire family member boosted him to fly, but he couldn't. One day he mustered up his courage to fly, but all went in vain. And for the same, he was harshly punished by his parents. He was left all alone on the ledge, starving for 24 hours. He could not learn to fly. He cried with hunger. Then mother took the final decision to teach him how to fly, and it worked out. The seagull died for a scrap of fish. Mother was high up in the sky. She was flying, and with her, the young seagull was flying. When he opened his wings, he found himself flying. This was the way he was taught to make his first flight by her mother. Hence, we can say parental encouragement and discipline play a great role in shaping the destiny of the young children. So, here we come to an end of the story. Now, we'll move towards assignment. Few new words are provided. We'll go through it. Number 1, seagulls. What do you mean by seagulls? Seabirds. Number 2, ledge. It is narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a cliff. Next it is upbraiding. What do you mean by upbraiding? Scolding. To scold someone. After that, muster up. Muster up means to gather. Then shrilly. Shrilly means high-pitched voice. And lastly, cowardice means lack of courage. Okay, now we will move towards the textbook exercise, thinking about the test. Okay, we'll see the first question. Why was the young seagull afraid to fly? Do you think all young birds are afraid to make their first flight? Or are some birds more timid than others? Do you think a human baby also finds it a challenge to take its first steps? Now just we have to go through the question and answer it. Okay, here the young seagull is afraid to fly. So why? What is the reason behind it? Okay, we'll see the answer. The young seagull was afraid to fly because it was its first flight. It is a well-known fact that doing something for the first time is challenging. Therefore, all young birds must be afraid to make their first flights. Similarly, a human baby would also find it a challenge to take its first step. So this was the answer. Why the young seagull was afraid to fly? Because it was his first attempt towards flight. Okay, so that's why he was frightened. He was afraid. Now we'll move to the second question. The sight of the food maddened him. What does this suggest? What compelled the young seagull to finally fly? Okay, means the sight of the food, when the seagull find his mother with the fish. So what happened to him? Why was he mad with the food? Why? Because he was starving. Last 24 hours, the parents not gave him a single drop of food. Okay, so he was very much maddened. And then how seagull tried to fly? So this is the question asked here. We'll go to the answer. The young seagull was very hungry. It was this hunger that ultimately compelled it to fly. Compelled means made him to fly. Its hunger only intensified when it saw its mother tearing at a piece of fish that lay at her feet. It cried to her, begging her to get some food. When its mother came towards it with food in her beak, it screamed with joy and anticipation. However, she stopped midway. It wondered why she did not come nearer. Not being able to resist or control its hunger any longer, it dived at the food in its mother's beak. At that moment, his hunger overpowered his fear of the great expanse of sea beneath the cliff. And finally, this plunge was followed by the natural reaction of its body, that is to fly. Okay, means the hunger made him fly to attempt to his first flight. Okay, so this was the answer for question number 2. We'll move to the third question. They were beckoning to him, calling shrilly. Why did the seagull's father and mother threaten him and cajole him to fly? Okay, why did they persuaded him to fly, made him to fly? Got it? So we'll go to the answer. The young seagull was afraid to fly. As we know, he was very much afraid to fly. Even when it saw its brothers and sisters flying and its parents helping and teaching them, he could not gather enough courage to make that first flight. That is why its father and mother were calling to it shrilly and scolding it. They threatened to let it starve on its ledge if it did not fly. They did so because they wanted it to leave its fear behind and learn to fly. Means here parents wanted the bird to fly, to attempt its first fly. That's why they shouted on him, they punished him, they let him starve for 24 last hours. So like that. And at last the bird was able to fly. We'll move to the fourth question. Have you ever had a similar experience where your parents encouraged you to do something that you were too scared to try? Discuss this in pairs or groups. Okay, this is a self-experience based question. You have to give your experience here. For example, you were learning to ride a bicycle, but in your initial attempt you fell down many times and you were very much frightened. So your parents helped you, they encouraged you to overcome this fear and made you learn cycling. So like this, any other of the experience which made you scared. So, and your parents there helped you, they encouraged you, they motivated you to overcome that fear. Like that experience, you have to share with your friends or in a group you have to discuss. Okay, so this was question number 4. Now we'll move to the question number 5. Now in the case of a bird flying, it seems a natural act and a foregone conclusion that it should succeed. In the examples you have given in answer to the previous question, was your success guaranteed or was it important for you to try regardless of a possibility of failure? Okay, so here we have to see what the question tells. Now we face some problem in the initial stage while learning some new skill. Why? Because due to the fear of failure. And we hesitate to perform a task or to do something new. And same it happened in the case of seagull. His parents cajoled him to fly. Then again the example suppose which you have experienced in your question number 4, for example learning a bicycle. You were encouraged by your parents to learn the cycling. So you learn how to do cycling. You overcome all this fear and at last you succeeded in this attempt. So it is again a experience based question. You have to just mention here how you succeeded in the attempt. You want to do that you have to share. Okay, and you have to share this again in a group or with your partners. So now here we come to end of this lecture. In the next lecture we are going to see second part of the same lesson, the black aeroplane. Till then, bye.